Greetings, dear ones. It is the 29th of July, and I changed the date of the regular Revolutionary Revelations because of all of the hot items in our world today. And I mean, not only the things that are going on in the world socially, politically, um, culturally, but the fires themselves. I posted on my page a couple days ago a map of the fires around the world, and I'm sure you're very well aware of the fires in Europe and the massive destruction that has never been seen before in both France and Spain. But there are fires around the world, and this is directly related, and I'm not the one that's saying it. Science has been saying this for many years. We've had drought conditions in many areas of the world for a very long time now, several years. And when not only the vegetation is dry, but the land itself is dry, then we have the additional heat waves and the loss of water sources, and um, everything is very out of balance because we are and have not for a long time been in relationship with the earth in the way that we have been since the beginning of this project. And that was a constant daily interaction, tuning in, feeling the earth, feeling the climate, feeling the weather. We didn't have reports. We had signs from nature itself. We had our own bodies that would tune in and feel rain coming or feel certain weather conditions, certainly the seasons, and we'd watch the skies and the stars and the movement of the planets and know how things were arising for the next, period of time. We also read and felt into the land for planting, for harvesting, for turning it under. We felt our bodies and were much more in tune with um, how that coordinated not only with the land and nature around us, but the nature spirits and the gods, um, and our ancestors helped us. We spoke to them, we asked them, we worked with them, we honored them, communed and communicated and connected to and collaborated with and cooperated with all of these many unseen um, entities and energetics. And now we have separated so much from those internal sources of information that we receive in conjunction with and in cooperation with nature signs, animals, insects, etc., because everything, the circle of life, is out of balance, as we well know. And the gouging of the earth, the devastation to sacred lands, to open lands, to forests, to waterways. It's, how much abuse can anyone or anything take? And we are at that level. We have used, we have taken from, um, we have our attitude towards the earth is a thing that is merely for our financial and physical comfort basis. And there's not a question of sacrificing one for the other. there it is designed, the whole Earth project is designed for uh, a, a relationship, a connection and communication and collaboration and cooperation and communion. And that is the way of the feminine that I've been teaching for ever so long. And that is lacking between us and the earth and nature and all of these unseen beings because we have distanced ourselves. We have turned to artificial means. We have turned to electronic means. We have turned to um, ways of living that literally separate us from the earth, from nature. And again, chicken or egg, did we become so separated from ourselves that it was easier to do this? Did we go through a period of um, purposeful disconnect because other things were more appealing or apparently appealing? And even now, the marketing, I'm watching, watch TV for a little while last night, and the marketing is just getting more and more intense. It is channeled very specifically for, always has been for brainwashing, but it is also designed for emotion washing to appeal to actually literally poke in and access emotions to be able to use them against us, actually twisted around. And that's another thing, of course, that comes from our experience as children. And I'll segue into that in a minute, but I want to just emphasize this level of separation. We look at the sky on a full moon, which today happens to be, which is one of the reasons why I scheduled the Revolutionary Revelations for today. It is a very strong, very powerful full moon in Leo, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But moreover, it's an alignment with Jupiter. And Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system before they kicked out poor Pluto. And to me, in my system, it always will be a planet that's part of our solar system. But at this point, Jupiter is the largest planet. And in the spot, the big red spot that we are all very able to see almost without telescopes. At least one, if not more, there's still space around. If we were to take an entire Earth and place it in that hole, there still would be space around it. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how large Jupiter is. And Jupiter as a planet plays a very strong role, of course, in astrology. The current astrology is more an astrology of more modern times. The more ancient times before the 6th century was sidereal astrology, and that was the astrology of the ancients, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Egyptians, the um, three wise men who go to follow the stars, not just one, but follow the star, because they already knew. It's a very different way of looking at the planets, the constellations. As a matter of fact, that's the astrology that named the constellations and identified each and every star within it, or each and every star or planet within it. They all have names. And so it is a much larger view. It is a galactic or intergalactic view of our cosmos versus the current astrology, which was adjusted by the command of the Pope so that the earth then became the center of the universe rather than the heavens. And in that way, it would follow the precepts and the propaganda that the church wanted to push at that time. So Again, propaganda has been here for a long time. It is much stronger, much louder, in a much different form in our face every single day, and it's been trained to be able to touch us, access us, and cause a reaction within seconds, if not less. So when we are deeply connected to ourselves, to the different parts of us, not just our physical body, but we have many parts. Um, but the five main categories, I would say physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic. And within that are many other parts of us. There's many times of us. There are many aspects of us. And the whole process of personal exploration and discovery and then mastery is to know thyself, to be able to know more and more and more. And it is really limitless. We have so many uh, lives within us, so many existences within us, so many connections within us, so many uh, experiences in this life and others that make up who we are. So the exploration, many clients come in and they work for, they go through the program, the Discover the Universe Within program, and their lives change. They are no longer controlled by the set patterns that arose from their childhood experiences. But those childhood experiences and wounds, etc., were set by each and every one of us, for our benefit, as a map to be able to explore ever more depths of us. So once clients have done this program for at least, the first level of the program, their lives are different. Their relationship with themselves are different. Their work is different. They are, as I said, no longer running at those levels of stress or fear or stress and anxiety or just other forms of fear, um, or under someone else's determination of who they are. And then comes the deeper levels of exploration and discovery and incorporating even more of you. And as that happens, you have more of you to be able to utilize in creation, yes, in participating in expressing who you are out in the world, in presencing who you are as an anchor um, for what you deeply have come to know and believe. Um, Also, as a transmitter, because what you are feeling in relation to yourself, which automatically creates how you feel in relation to others and how you um, relate to experiences and conditions in your life. And you are, and my clients come to know they're walking transmitters, like those huge transmitters of energy and electricity. It's literally beaming off of you. You are, yes, vibrating at that, but you are just moving and breathing and doing what you do throughout your world, and the unconscious and subconscious and beyond conscious aspects of others really feel this. And whether they're conscious of it or not, their system remembers, their system responds to, their system reacts to, even if it doesn't fully play out in actions. But it's almost like just pinging them. Not that that's your purpose, not that that's your mission. The only thing a soul is here to do is to explore, to hopefully um, accomplish the project that you came here to accomplish, which has nothing to do with actions in the world, but in who you wanted to become in this lifetime. Taking advantage of the evolutionary leap that this planet had the potential to go through and is now, in fact, deep within. So, um, you set this up, you had those particular experiences to give you the opportunity constantly to re-explore a pattern, to um, not even to go deeper and deeper and deeper, thereby embodying more and more of your soul self, more and more of your wider self, more and more of your knowledge and abilities and gifts that you have in other existences. So you become a channel, yes, for those abilities and talents and knowledge. And it's now incorporated within you in a conscious basis. So now you are actually multi existentially presencing yourself here. So imagine the transmission that is coming off of you, the transmission that you are embedding into the land and nature as you walk and move, when you are incorporating and physicalizing more and more and more of who you are. And along the way, you are dissolving, surrendering, uh, just falling away, letting fall away the identities and the aspects of you which you are not, bringing you back to your original divine pattern self. And then that is what you are moving from, breathing from, living from every single day. So, why is that all important? Because this disconnect and this broken relationship with the land and nature and the clouds and the air and the water and the stars and the planets is what is allowing a great deal of the imbalance to continue. Therefore, the earth is not, I mean, imagine it. You have a friend and you never hear from that friend. They're only there when they want something from you. They use you, they take advantage of you, they take you for granted. Um, what kind of a relationship is that? So that's the relationship that we have come to be in with the earth. And it hurts and it confuses, and the missing parts of that relationship, definitely, I know with the humans that I know, causes you to be off kilter, causes you to be unable to do and be who you are and what you'd like to. I mean, let's take it a step further. If it's not a, let's go from that whole patterning with a friend to a spouse or a parent or a child, or of course, you know, it comes out in work. So this lack of relationship has come from our disconnect, not only from the earth and nature, but the unseen. Joseph Campbell, of course, spoke about this, taught about this. I encourage you to go to the Joseph Campbell website. He is long past, but his work and his teachings and those that have expanded upon those teachings are still very present, very alive, and very much attempting to anchor in, as are many others, attempting to anchor in once again that relationship, that connection, the reliance upon the ability to open up our intuition and hear and feel from all of these different sources, of course, including from our ancestors. And for many a long year, It has been taught and promoted by many different spiritual sources that your third eye is the way to do that. And any of you who have worked with me or have done any classes with me know that I teach something very different, that all of your internal sensing is what is true and what you can count on and rely on, and it can expand ever more as wide as the universe. In other words, you can pick up these. When you go through your third eye alone, it is a very specific frequency. It is a very specific bandwidth of electromagnetics for the most part. And the Earth does not function on electromagnetics. There is an electromagnetic grid within the Earth, but it is primarily magnetic. And there are many other forms of energy and bandwidths of frequency that that if you that when you have access to within you, you are opening up a line of communication. So, for example, if you want to speak to the Greek gods, again, the third eye is not necessarily the way to go, but you have your own sensing abilities, you have your own way of receiving information. And when you have more of you and you are more embodied, then it becomes a lot easier. You're not relying on someone else's idea of how information can come in. That's what we have going on right now. There's narrowing and narrowing of stream of information, and then we don't have the sources and the resources to be able to know ourselves, to be able to have knowledge. One of the great quotes I had heard today actually was that the cosmic or the information sources that I'm referring to come through the objective consciousness into the subjective consciousness, down in through the subconscious, and then once again to the cosmic consciousness. And that perfectly describes the process that we're going to be doing shortly, of going down and in and through you to access the universe, as a matter of fact. So it's in your inner verse that you are able to travel and receive from the universe. So this breaking of relationship and why it's so pertinent to do this Revolutionary Revelations episode today was not only the full moon, but it is very much connected to Jupiter. And Jupiter is the Roman adaptation of the Greek god Zeus. So seemingly they are the same, but the Romans, again, kind of grabbed the whole Greek pantheon and renamed it and adjusted some. For example, Zeus was much more, had a lot more human qualities, interacted with humans much more. And the Roman pantheon, he became much more a god of law, watching over and protecting the state. And still, though, both of them are sky gods. Both of them oversee the skies. They utilize thunder and lightning as tools, as weapons, but they also oversee not just the heavens, but the weather. And it's very interesting that, you know, we have so many fires right now and that fiery energy, and certainly both Jupiter and Zeus were known for their fire, their power, their energy, their ability to draw down fire from heaven, so to speak. And so I'm really I've really been working the past few days with Jupiter, i.e. Zeus. I'm more aligned with the Greek pantheon and the Greek way of interacting with gods and nature spirits and all the other unseen beings. Because Rome was Rome in a very different world, in a very different structure, and much more warlike, much more rigid, much more male based. So we have this very fiery energy. We have the weather patterns that have caused the physical fires around the world. Um, the sun is, or this moon is also in Leo, and or Jupiter is in Leo, rather. That's what I understand. I'm not an astrologer. I am not, that is not an area of my familiarity. I can read and recognize and acknowledge and align with certain interpretations, which I'm going to read in a moment from what I consider one of the best astrologers I've ever known in my life. Um, but it is this fire within us also that we have access to. And as I mentioned in the announcement for this week's episode, fire can burn and destroy, and the energy of fire can be utilized and honed to create, to transform, to transmute, to help us survive, from the very basics of heat to laser technology and what that can do as far as physical surgery and so many other things. So we have always with anything in our world, be it man-made or not, the destructive aspects and the constructive aspects, just as the patterning within us. The destructive patterning that came about from our childhood wounds, often, more often than not, no, they are destructive to us in one way or another until such time as we transmute them, transfigure them, and then that fire that's within them, that energy that's within those patterns, are utilized for the creation of our lives the way we want it, and the creation of the new earth. So we're going to tap into this fire, which can burn through, it can burn off, which some of the energetics have been told from the ancients, the Council of Intergalactic Beings that I've been working with for 20 something years, is going to burn off some of the toxicity within your physical body, within your cells and molecules, as well as helping you hone some of that anger, not control it. Interestingly enough, someone sent me a post today about the Inuit and how they handle anger in their society. And it's very much about control and self-control. And that is their way, perhaps. I did not do enough research to find out the source of the author and how much subjectivity was done in this writing. But the point is that holding in your anger, controlling it, yes, prevents it from destroying in very violent ways, but then it means that it's being turned in on you, or that holding, the pressure of holding it and controlling it will cause it to sneak out, squeak out, leak out in ways that are harmful to ourselves, our families, our friends, our co-workers, etc. It's a little it's a little bit of a shot here and there. And we'd have to talk more personally to see how yours is showing up. Um, so energy, I mean, fire can burn off, it can burn through things, meaning that something that was implacable can, with that energy, be moved and changed. Um, there are many forms, as I said. So anger, when it's purified, when it's transmuted, when it's transfigured, becomes honed into passion, into our own power to be able to live our lives as who we are, to be able to create, to be able to have more vitality, more life force. So we have the violence of, or the fire that manifests as violence being presented to us in umpteen different forms by leaders around the world, by corporations, by um, just lawlessness, people being able to do what they want, someone, even in something as simple as running a red light. That is a form of hostility because of the potential danger, yes, but it's more a question of I don't care about you, I don't care about anyone around me. This is what I want to do. And if it endangers someone, if it does, make someone causes something else around me to happen, I don't care. So we have a high level of fire energy, anger, and all its many forms coming through in violent ways, everything from war to destruction, purposeful destruction, to purposeful, you know, stealing, taking, robbing from the earth, from one another, from the innocents, etc. And yet, all of the information that is coming through from higher sources, if you will, higher meaning that they have a higher view, not that they are higher in a level of soul progression, because there isn't any hierarchy when we're talking about soul and universe, but higher in that there is a wider perspective. And that's what we always want to do. And the more you have of yourself, the deeper you are able to go, the wider your view, the wider your um, resources, the wider your abilities, the wider wisdom that you have. So we're going to be kind of pulling back the camera within the deep dive we're going to do in a few minutes. And all of this, all is a question of freedom. Throughout humanity's time here on Earth, for the most part, except for maybe the very beginning, we have been exploring that pyramidal structure that you have heard me speak about so much, where a very few small group at the top owns and controls the masses, owns and controls the resources, owns and controls now communication, always actually, um, through their purposeful controlling and designing of information. Science has been attacked so many times throughout history because that information, when we have it, when the people have information, we are able to choose. And so, once again, as throughout all of history, science has been under attack severely, particularly lately, and even today with the hearing that's going on in our government, attacks on science, because science is knowledge, knowledge is freedom for the people. So this evolutionary process is a call to freedom. Your patterning, the issues that show up in your life is a call to freedom. The having of you, trusting of you, relying on yourself, your own intuition, not what someone says, not what someone determines for you, is comes through this process of internal exploration, discovery, ownership, sovereignty. With sovereignty, you have freedom. So we have the energy of the sky gods. I'm going to say both because Jupiter is just a later form, and Jupiter is the planet that is um, kind of overseeing things right now. We have Leo, that fiery energy, the sun, and I would encourage you actually to make sun water, not just moon water today. Normally, you leave out a glass container in the moon and you are gathering in all of the particular full moon energies of that point in time, of that form and aspect of the moon, its position in the heavens, in the cosmos. But today I would encourage you, I believe the full moon was at 10:46 this morning, to put out a glass container, even if it's just a glass, drinking glass, full of water. If you use purified water, that's fine, but if you don't, it's also fine because these energies bypass, convert anything that is in that water. And you can utilize that water for bringing more life and energy into your home. You can put it in a spray bottle with, of course, I would add certain essential oils, but the water, charged water, is enough during the winter time when you're feeling kind of low on energy, or anytime. But if you leave it in a glass bottle, well sealed, it will certainly be as powerful well into the winter time. But you can utilize it, spray it on yourself when you're feeling a little bit low during your day instead of going for necessarily that cup of coffee or whatever you use. Try a little bit of this energy, this water that has been energized by this fire and this life force and powerful energies. So I would make that suggestion today. And I am going to read just the astrologer that I mentioned, who combines many different aspects to her work. She has been an astrologer for so many lifetimes. It's kind of ridiculous. And so she comes to it from a very uh, knowledgeable place, aside from all of what she has gleaned in this life in a relatively short time. So rather than gleaned, I would say remembered. So she says that the moon represents our inner emotional world, our instincts, subconscious, our emotional responses. Pluto is also very present right now. Pluto rules transformation, the unconscious, power, shadow work, which is what I specialize in with clients, obsession, death and rebirth, and everything hidden beneath the surface. So the full moon will stand directly opposite a Jupiter Cassini, which frankly I am unfamiliar with. Jupiter sitting in the heart of the sun in Leo. An opposition creates a push-pull dynamic between two energies seeking balance. Jupiter is considered the great beneficent. But one thing people often forget is that Jupiter expands whatever it touches. It can amplify joy, hope, confidence, and abundance, yes. It can just as easily magnify excess, overconfidence, conflict, or emotions that have been unprocessed. Full moons represent culmination. They illuminate, they reveal, they bring endings, releases, and moments of clarity that make it difficult to keep pretending something isn't happening. Again, right in line with this narrowing of information sources and the form of information that I was referring to. As a matter of fact, read something yesterday that is very, very true, that the only true source of information at this point is books, because they are the only things that have not been modified in their being included, downloaded into the massive AI library, which again, it can be completely destructive or completely constructive. We are deciding how it will be used. So hold on to your books, everyone. Um, with Pluto sitting behind this full moon, don't be surprised if something you've been sensing but couldn't quite put into words finally comes out. Like I said, exposure. So maybe you need to have an uncomfortable conversation. A secret might come to light. Maybe this brings you a shift in perspective. You could realize you've outgrown a job, relationship, belief, or even a version of yourself that no longer feels like you. That's what I was referring to earlier as far as the amount of or shedding, if you will, dissolving, handing off, letting fall away identities that are no longer yours. And letting go of a lot of identities really brings us back to then, okay, who am I? And that's what we're seeing across the world. Who are we as a country? Who are we as a planet? Who are we as a species? So, all good in the process of evolution. We may find ourselves questioning the systems we've accepted as normal. We may see people speaking up, challenging authority, questioning leadership, or paying closer attention to the role technology and AI are beginning to play in our everyday lives. This energy may ask you to look at where power exists in your own life. Who is making your decisions? Who are you keeping the peace at the expense of yourself? I would back up one. Who is making your decisions? Again, so much of our beliefs, our perspective, our emotional experiences are determined by our the patterns that were born out of what we experienced as children and the defense system's intervention to protect us from having to feel the depth and breadth and extent of what was going on or what was happening to us tens of thousands of times. We didn't have any way to stop it. We didn't have any way to um, control it. We had no way to leave it. We were trapped as children. So your defense system steps in and it just changes the picture enough that allows you to have some ability to seemingly control something that you really don't. So one of those things that she's pointing out, where are you keeping the peace at the expense of yourself? Where did you try to make parents okay as children so that you would be okay? And again, much of this is unconsciously created. What conversation have you been avoiding because you already know what needs to be said? When we're children, we cannot have those conversations. And in my work with clients, I never encourage in any way conversations with anyone, because once you've done the internal work and you've transmuted and transfigured that piece, PIECE, there is no need for a conversation. You are changed. They thereby are no longer able to interconnect with you in the way that has always been. And so the situation changes. One way or the other, it changes. What truth have you been avoiding because acknowledging it would require you to change? We are all looking away. There is so much going on. There is so much seemingly out of our control. There is so much destruction, violence, sorrow, loss, sadness, fear that is being generated by all the actions and inactions that are going on, which is precisely its purpose to activate, to catalyze, to poke and provoke that within us to come forward, allowing us to work with it, transform it. If that's the level that you can do, great. Transform is more of a behavioral and cognitive level, which is great. When you have the ability to go deeper, or that isn't enough to change your world the way you would like it to, then we move into transmutation, which changes that issue, that way of being from one thing into something else entirely. Um, let me see. She's speaking about her personal experience in working with the energy of Pluto. This full moon is only one chapter. Be gentle with yourself. The nodes switch off to the Aquarius Leo axis tomorrow, and then we wrap this lunation up and head straight towards a solar eclipse in Leo, which will begin an entirely new story. And she's going to be writing about more on this at a later point. As here she is. The full moon reaches its peak today, July 29th at 10:36 a.m. Eastern Time. She closes with, pay attention to what keeps resurfacing and notice what feels impossible to ignore. How many of us are ignoring our internal voices? Because when we were children, we had to. We could not hear that internal voice that's saying, this is wrong, this is not the way it's supposed to be. You are the last person in the world that should be doing this to me. And this isn't going through the brain. This is coming directly from your internal system, your inner system. So these, reach out if you'd like to explore how to more freely access those parts of you and live more fully your original patterning. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you, and that usually turns into a little mini session, and we can look at possibilities for future. So I'm going to let me just check my notes and see if there was anything else I wanted to bring forward before I call in the energetics that are going to be participating with us and assisting us, not just in these moments of our deep dive, but throughout the day, throughout this period of time. So, without further ado, I invite you to, above all else, breathe. Because, granted, that was a great deal of information, but we are going through a great deal right now. So, just notice where you're breathing. Are you breathing more from your throat? Are you breathing more from your upper chest? Do you feel constricted in your breathing? From what I was bringing forward, from what I was mentioning, because it's going to catalyze and provoke things in your unconscious. Just because everything does. It's an invitation. Everything are mirrors around us. We live in a hall of mirrors. And all of that is giving us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to look within. So, Just breathe. Just breathe and recognize not only that breath is life, but also the energy and the movement and breath in itself is not overseen by the element of fire. But what it does is create energy and life force within us, which is another form of energy, or one might say fire. So just breathe, not in any kind of way, just allowing the breath to move in and move out. Just allowing your body to sit on the chair, couch, floor, whatever you may be sitting on, and recognizing that you are an absolutely vital ingredient within this entire planetary and beyond evolutionary process. You are that important. You are that powerful. You are that significant. You are that vital to what is going on. The more you are able to truly be you and live from that original patterning of you, your true nature, you are automatically transforming, transfiguring, evolving this Earth project. As always, we are going to invite in the elements of land, air, fire, and water, recognizing that each one corresponds to and oversees and can regulate and put in right relationship those four aspects of you. Land corresponding to your physical body, air corresponding to your mental body, fire corresponding to your spiritual body, and water corresponding to your emotional body. One of the many reasons we call them in as helpers in any of the sacred geometric configurations that are created when I'm working. We're also going to call in the chief to center us within the directions. It's what orients us within ourselves, helps us orient on the planet. We're going to call in the direction of the east, overseen by Brother Eagle, and our illumination, our ability to come to know. We're going to call in the direction of the west, overseen by Brother Bear, to help us with introspection, that ability to look within, to go within. We're going to call on the direction of the south, with Sister Porcupine and Sister Otter that help us remember the fun and the play and the childlike wonder within us and of this world, our innocence. I'm going to call on the direction of the north. And with us, helping us with that is Lady White Buffalo, teaching us, guiding us, and helping us in our prayerfulness, our patience, wisdom, and abundance. I'm going to call in and call upon the direction of above, our cosmic teachers, the planets, the constellations, those constellations that were named after the ancient gods and beings with whom we communicated, collaborated with, cooperated with, communed with, allowing each one in their own individual way, their characteristics, their strengths and weaknesses to teach us. All of those constellations have within them stars that represent specific entities, specific energies, specific beings, animals. Each are teachers. So it's very important when calling in the directions to call in the direction of above. I'm going to call in and call upon the direction of below. Within the earth are worlds and realms and kingdoms, be it the crystal kingdom. There are inner worlds. There are beings within the earth that oversee and engineer and maintain all of the many physical necessities for us to experience this physical reality. And of course, as always, the direction of within. I'm going to particularly invite Jupiter, the king of the gods, the god of the heavens, to bring the energy of fire in its honed and transmuted way, because we never want to impose what we think should happen upon another, whether it's the earth or anyone else. So the fires are occurring. There are many unknown purposes for this, not merely on a physical basis to cleanse and allow for rebirth and renewal of the earth, but this is now out of balance and excessive. They are there for, again, to teach us, to guide us, to lead us, perhaps back to that balance, perhaps back to a deeper connection with the earth where we are no longer allowing the abuse and misuse and grieving, greedy taking of resources and utilizing destructive fuels and chemicals and means that throw off that balance of our climate, our weather, our farming, our harvesting. So much more. For as that is appearing in the outside, so too is it deeply affecting our inner world, our physical world, our inner emotional world, our mental world within. For even those that do not watch what's going on, don't want to know, our physical and energetic bodies are so intertwined, so interconnected, so interrelated with this earth and everything on it around it that we are unknowingly or unconsciously still being affected deeply. And just like in our individual lives, at what point can we no longer tolerate, accept, allow what is happening in the outer world and choose, as that beautiful astrologer Leah Sprout is her name, and I had posted, mentioned at what point perhaps this is the point at which you stand up and speak out in your township, calling your elected officials, creating groups where you can take action in your community, letting people know of good companies that you support, utilizing your money and your attendance purchasing power to those who are protecting our planet, who are recognizing, respecting, and valuing the earth, the effects on climate, and doing the opposite to those companies, entities, people, leaders who are destroying, taking, raping the land, the air, water. Corpus Christi in Texas was reported yesterday to be the first city officially without water. Why combination of things, but they are on rationing. So think twice when you let the water run. You're washing your hands or the dishes. It is certainly not an inexhaustible resource. When the climate is off, the rain does not get absorbed by the earth. It does not condense and go up to the clouds and create more rain. Each of us being conscious and making choices are what changes this planet, not leaders, not religions, not laws. Each of us individually. You are so much more than you know. One of the animal teachers that are here and have been this week is beautiful bat, a very gentle but powerful animal teacher of rebirth. Dragon has been presenting itself multiple ways this week. Dragon, of course, one of the figures in history or mythology known for its fire, its utilization of fire. So all of this is in the mix. Everything I've been speaking about is in this container, swirling, mixing, blending, adjusting, combining. This is alchemy. This is how we create something new, something that has never happened before, something that may have never existed before, not only on this planet, but may never have existed in this universe. For we are all being affected by the new origins of our universe. As are we affecting the development, the invention, the creation of that new universe. So the ancients have given me the go ahead. Until now, the energies have been coming in and folding, mixing, as I mentioned. And now they are at a state in which we can drop more fully into ourselves, into down and within, into your inner verse. And at this point, you can just let your brain take a back seat. You need not follow my words, any concepts, any facts, anything that I may mention at this point. Just know that my voice is transmitting those energies. You are well placed within this energetic container, safely, securely, in your exact right location, position, for the utmost and highest of benefits. However, that may appear in your world, in your physical, and another very strong stream of Jupiter is coming in. Actually, earlier this week, I went to a concert of Train. The name of the tour is Drops of Jupiter. 25 years after that album came out. Information, energies, entities, beings, ancestors, nature spirits, aspects of Earth, the cosmos, the inner Earth can come in countless ways. When you are in deep relationship with yourself, deep inner knowing, you are in profound connection, communication, collaboration, cooperation, and communion with that divinity in all things. It's simply a question of widening your receptors, widening to the possibilities. Information coming in through any source. Just allow, just feel. There's nothing you need to do in this process. As a matter of fact, doing, efforting, working, focusing, intending interferes with what you can experience, receive, feel, sense. There is no one size fits all in this practice. The energies, the combination of energetics, things cited and more are blended and woven and direct for you. Exquisitely tailored for your benefit. Another person is receiving a completely different, maybe similar, but not the same. So the more you allow yourself to drop deep, allow whatever to come, let your third eye go by the wayside. Just allow, just be. Another huge factor within this whole configuration theme, collective consciousness theme this week is trust. Trusting yourself, trusting the divine, which doesn't come automatically. But in your original patterning, your true nature, you do. There is ultimate trust in self because it is your soul patterning, your soul self that physicalizes through this human form. And you, your wider self, your soul self, never steer you wrong, will never bring you misinformation, will never leave you in doubt. The challenge through the exploration and discovery as those pieces and aspects and ways of you, of who you are not, fall away. Then the pure, true, original, divine you is presencing itself in you, to you. That is your discernment of what is true and what is not. Inner reference. So has a lot of this untruth of who you believe or think you are is burned away today. And allow you to have a deeper connection and more discernment and more trust in what you know deep within, not in your head, not in your heart, for those can so easily and have been so easily distorted. But your innate, that internal knowing, that inner voice will never, ever steer you wrong. May you ever become more reliant, more connected, more in communion with your own innate and have the ability to utilize that fiery energy into passion, passionately living from and in and as and through your true self. So energies are still moving, stirring, and transmitting. You are always welcome to stay in this container, knowing that when and as it is right for you to move back into a more physical consensus reality state, you will be completely integrated and consolidated. And in the meantime, I am here for questions. Please reach out through messaging, through phone, through email. All of the information is on my page to have a conversation, mini session about how to bring more of that true self of you forward comfortably, without fear, and moreover, enjoyably, pleasurably, passionately. So, until next time, please know that it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet. Be well.